Living in the present moment is difficult in today's highly stimulating environment. When we wake up, we immediately look at our phone. We check our emails, TikTok videos, the gospel on social media, the world news. All these things stimulate our brain and we lose focus on the present moment. And unfortunately, it is easy to become addicted to high stimulation. Granted, I have to be mindful of my phone usage, otherwise, I'll automatically, unconsciously seek things to stimulate my brain. Today, I'd like to discuss what mindfulness is by using the concept from the Sensorimotor psychotherapy. In addition, we'll practice mindfulness based actionable tools to relieve anxiety and depression. Let's dive in. Hello, I'd like to welcome every self healer to this healing space. To begin, I'd like to share a quote from John Kabat-Zinn, a meditation teacher and a founder of mindfulness based stress reduction. He says, mindfulness is awareness that emerges through paying attention on purpose in the present moment, non judgmentally, to things as they are. There are multiple ways to understand and practice mindfulness. I like to describe mindfulness as a concentration practices. For example, right here and right now, I can concentrate on infinite number of internal and external things, right? I can concentrate on my breath, my different body parts, physical sensations, all the five senses. And I can also concentrate on what's around me, like the sky, the floor, the chair, my computer, all that. So how I experience this moment can be very different than how you experience this moment. Sensorimotor psychotherapy is very different than traditional talk therapy because it emphasizes on how our body and mind communicate and they are connected. For example, when we experience anxiety and relaxation, they're completely different things through our body. When we experience anxiety, our body might experience some activation such as increased heart rate, shaking, trembling, tightness in our chest, and other body parts. Whereas when we experience relaxation, our bodies settle down through a stable heart rate, relaxed muscle tone, soft tone of voice, open posture. According to sensorimotor psychotherapy, we can find healing and balance by working with the five building blocks of the present moment, the internal experience. The five building blocks include emotions, bodily sensations, movements, five sense perceptions, and thoughts. To bring the present moment awareness to these five building blocks can provide sort of the counterpiece to finding a healing and balance. So let's take a look at each building block here. Well, the first one is emotions. This is sort of the expression of our internal experience. We use words like anger, joy, sadness, fear, passion, love. So there's a range of the emotional expression, the words that we describe our internal experience. Next, the physical bodily sensations. Do you feel hot, cool, or cold? Do you notice tightness? Do you notice relaxation, pain, aches, softness in your body part, your stomach, your chest, your legs, your arms? The body is also a way to experience our internal world. Okay, the movements. Movements are kind of similar to the bodily sensation, but it's something that we can physically or we can just literally feel it. So this can be a tiny, sometimes unnoticeable movement, such as increase in heart rate, increase in our breathing pattern, or we are wiggling our toes or shaking our legs, or there's a slight shaking in our lips. Because how do we pay attention to the movements that our body is sometimes creating? And it can be an unconscious process. Next one is five sense perceptions. It's self-explanatory. Like what do you taste, smell, hear, see, and touch. What are the things that you notice with all your senses? Lastly, the cognition, our thoughts. Our thoughts include the beliefs, our interpretation of things, the biases that we've been holding. So it's our way to describe the internal and external stimuli. Let's move deeper into understanding of these five building blocks and how they are related to one another. And we're going to do a little actionable tool, the meditation exercise here. The point of practicing sensorimotor psychotherapy is to track your present moment as it encoded in the body. Then this leads to a better brain functioning, the mental health, and overall well-being. So grab a pen and paper here for this exercise. So feel free to follow along, or you can pause the video to take a note, or you can just go with the exercise. So to begin, think of a positive moment in your life. It can be simple as taking a warm bath, reading a good book, going for a walk, or sharing a time with your friends and loved ones. So trying to immerse yourself in this experience and write it down before you begin this exercise. So take a moment to choose that positive experience and allow yourself to immerse in that experience. Just go into the details, as much as possible. Slow down your mind, slow down your breath, slow down whatever is going on in the body, and take a moment to notice the five building blocks. Just are your feelings, the bodily sensations, five senses, any movements, any thoughts, whatever that's associated with that positive experience. Notice how these five building blocks are communicating with you or with one another. So simply be observant and allow this experience to unfold in the present moment. So while you're here in the present moment, just notice that past the positive experience. So take your time with this. Okay, now you come back to the room. Let's notice those five building blocks. What emotion are you feeling right now? Calmness, joy, relaxation, clarity, or sometimes anger, anxiety, irritability. So no judgment with whatever feelings you're having. They're just your experience. There's no good and bad experience. They're just an experience. So take a moment to notice whatever feelings that you notice with that positive experience or the present moment right now. Okay, so next question is, what bodily sensation are you experiencing? Are you experiencing some warmth in your belly? Are you experiencing the slow, deep breath? Do you feel hot? Do you feel cold? Do you feel tensed up? Or do you feel soft in your muscles? And also, are you noticing any subtle movements in your body? Are your shoulders rounding forward? Are they dropped? Are they tensed up? Any facial tension, or are they relaxed? What happened to your heart rate? What happened to your lungs? What happened to your arms? What happened to your legs? Okay, just notice them. We're not here to judge them, we're just here to notice what's happening in the body. Now observe your five senses. What do you smell? What do you taste? What do you see? What do you hear? Let's expand your awareness to your senses. Okay, lastly, what are you thinking about that situation? What is that situation telling you? Is it telling you pleasant things, or neutral things, or unpleasant things? Just notice them, notice your thoughts as they are. We're not here to judge or identify our experience with our thoughts. We're just here to notice whatever thoughts come to your mind. Just notice them. It can change or it'll be different. Just notice what's happening here and now. So take a moment here. With this exercise, we are practicing non-judgmental stand. We're practicing mindfulness, the present moment. It allows us to mindfully observe our experience with curiosity and self-reflection. And I believe that this will lead to healing and improve our well-being. Because it's a way to building that trust within ourselves that you're doing something to heal, to recover from whatever happens, from the past or right now or the future. Now we're gonna do a little different here. I want you to repeat this exercise by recalling mildly anxious moment this time, a mildly unpleasant moment. If thinking about anxious moment feels too difficult, then you can choose a sort of a neutral moment in your life. To bring up that anxious moment, just run a movie and you're just watching it like watching a movie. So as you notice that moment, that anxious moment, what emotion are you noticing? What bodily sensations are you experiencing? Are you noticing any subtle movements in the body? Sometimes anxiety comes with tension, some shaking, trembling. A lot that happens while you're being grounded in the present moment. Notice any change in your five senses. Again, what are you seeing? What are you smelling? What are you tasting? What are you hearing? What are you touching? Just notice that. Notice those five senses. And notice any change in your thoughts compared to that positive experience. What happened to your beliefs? What happened to interpretation of that moment or this moment, the present moment? So take a moment to notice that with that mildly anxious moment in the present moment. Take your time here. Well done. It's interesting to see how our body, our mind change with different moments that we're thinking about. Because it shows that the five building blocks is sort of the description of whatever that we're experiencing. These five building blocks change accordingly. With this awareness, let's talk about how we can find healthy balance in the body and the mind by working with this, again, the five building blocks. Then we can see how we can reorganize the present moment if we are shifting away from the present moment. Let's say I feel frustrated while stuck in a traffic jam. As I sit in my car that's not moving, completely stuck, I can notice that I'm feeling frustrated. I'm holding my breath. As I continue to observe my held breath, I notice that my body just naturally release it. I began to feel relaxed and going back to that stable breathing pattern. So, because it's about noticing it and allow our body to handle it. Almost like you're building a trust in this mind-body connection. Oh, another option is providing some assistance to your body. You can engage in deep diaphragmatic breathing. And when I do that deep diaphragmatic breathing, I notice that I am coming back to the present moment. I'm experiencing the present moment differently. It's a way to reorient myself to the present moment. So how do we develop that awareness? So instead of feeling frustrated and focusing on the traffic jam, the car in front of me, you can decide to mindfully reorient towards your breath, your posture, whatever that you're noticing, with this five building blocks, then it will decrease that stress, that frustration, that anxiety. So it's not about avoiding that unpleasant feelings or experience. It's about holding that experience while you're noticing something else, so that you're holding the both in the present moment. There are multiple ways to be mindful. It's important to find what works for you. So let's take a look at some examples here. Mobilizing your body through space, like walking, jogging, running, dancing, climbing, jumping. Practicing yoga is another one way. Practicing yoga is another way to mobilize your body because it synchronizes your breath and movements to connect mind and body. So we want to see what kind of movements feels right and feels authentic to you. Another example is, simply speaking, relaxing and releasing tension in the body. You can do this by finding comfortable seated position and doing some gentle stretches or neck rolling. We want to see where you hold the tension and how do we provide support to that area. So for example, I like to sometimes slouch. So to provide the support, I like to lengthen my spine, or sometimes I like to lay down. So we want to see how do we find the relaxation, because it's not a new information, but how do we come back to that relaxation here and there? Because oftentimes we're so goal oriented and focusing on getting the job done, but how do we come back to the relaxation? That way we can be more efficient. Next one is centering and grounding your body. This can be done by sitting in a chair and noticing the bottom against the chair, your feet on the floor, and your back against the back of the chair. It's a way to find the balance. Oftentimes, again, going back to slouching posture, I like to find that balance, find that centeredness, find that groundedness in the body. That way, I can find the relaxation, that release of tension. With that centeredness and groundedness, you can pay attention to your breathing. One simple exercise is simply lay on your back with your knees bent and your hands on the belly, and pretend there's a balloon in your belly as you slowly breathe in and notice the belly expanding, and as you exhale, notice the belly relaxing and softening as the balloon is deflating. So I guess what kind of breathing pattern that you want to engage, because oftentimes we just breathe unconsciously. So how do we consciously breathe and to see what patterns you want to go with? But lastly, the self-touch, which is also an important tool that can help you examine the state of your body. So we can literally feel any tension or relaxation by touching the body parts. So one way to do this is placing your hand, right? You're using your hands, it can be a good tool to examine what's really happening. We can see the intensity of the tension or the level of relaxation that we have in the body. I can feel my breath and my tension in my chest. Simply, we all have this habitual self-touch. So notice that when we engage that, and to see, what is it that you're trying to do? What kind of support that you want to provide by touching certain body parts? I encourage you to practice with experimental attitude, so you can find the best way to be mindful and then live in the present moment. Your body is an essential avenue for daily mindfulness practice. Every moment is new and each moment will soon pass. Mindfulness is about creating new experiences. To do so, we need awareness and concentration of these 5 building blocks. Embracing the wholeness is key. We're not just here to pay attention to one thing. We're here to pay attention to multiple things. Anxiety or intense feelings can limit our awareness and our options. So let's focus on all these building blocks of the present moment. This can help us explore all the possibilities and options available to us. When we're in this exploratory mindset, this experimental mindset, our bodies will be ready and open to balance and restoration, the wholeness. I hope that you find our time helpful. Take good care of yourself and do your healing every day.